And so one thing you don't want to do, don't go bringing up history. All right. Don't bring up history. Stuff in the past, leave it in the past. Forgive, move forward. All right. Whenever you live in the past, it's like an emotional umbilical cord. Now, it's kind of an odd looking metaphor, but that's what I like to think. It's like an emotional umbilical cord you have stuck back there to those people, to that event, whatever. And as long as you keep living back there, guess where you can't live? Emotionally fully present, right here, right now, because your emotional brain is divided. Mature people know how to live life fully in the present. To do that, they also learn to forgive. And they also understand that to forgive is respectful and is goodwill. Another thing you never, ever, ever, ever want to do, ever, is use the words like never, ever, always, should, shouldn't. Those words that are basically extremes. There's a great counselor, a field of school, I think it was Albert Ellis. Now, take this with goodwill. But one of the things that Ellis always taught was that how we think has a lot to do with how our mental and emotional health is going to be. And that one reason people have emotional and mental problems is because they think in terms of, well, I should always be liked. Everyone is supposed to care about me. I should always make everybody happy. Hear those phrases? He called that living a life a must. All right, he called it masturbation. That was his name for it. But I thought it was a pretty interesting term that a lot of people live in the musts of the world. You should this, you should that. It must be this way. It can never be that way. That's pretty black and white thinking, and it's a very shallow way to live life. Learn to use words. It seems to me that it's this way more often than not. There tends to be a pattern of this, I notice. All right, those kind of things. So when I say never, ever, ever, ever use words like never, should, I just violated my own rule tonight. So, but you don't want to use those things. All right, there's other ways to express yourself. Is my point here, and you can always use other phrases like, I'd like to see you do this. I'd like for this to happen. Sometimes I feel that it seems to be this way. Sometimes it comes across that way. Those are phrases you can use to get out of the extreme language, all right? Because I can tell you why. If you say to me, well, you've never done A, if you say, Rick, you've never done A, whatever A might be, I bet I could come up with a time in my life where I did it once. And if I couldn't, I'd do it just to lie to prove you wrong. That's what that language does, all right? Why create language that puts people on the defensive? There's no goodwill in it, and it's not respectful, all right? Another point here. When it comes to arguing, never attack your partner. Deal with the issue. Don't attack your partner. Deal with the issue itself. It's kind of think of it this way. Here's me, and let's say my wife is right here. And here's Luella. So here's me, and here's Luella. And let's say this pen is an issue that we have. Now, we're going to put this pen out here. So I have thoughts and feelings about this. Luella has thoughts and feelings about this. So my thoughts and feelings about this issue and her thoughts and feelings about this issue aren't the same. They're actually different. And if you want to solve conflict, you have to honor all three. We have to deal with the issue for sure, but I need to respect and honor her thoughts and feelings about this issue. And she needs to be able to respect my thoughts and feelings about this issue. What usually happens though, when couples get into arguing in unhealthy ways, what that lower order animal brain does, it takes this issue, and what it does, it then attaches it to your partner. So when you're arguing from the lower order animal brain, fight, flight, or freeze, all those we call fighting with ill will, whenever you're arguing from this lower order brain, I'm no longer talking about this anymore. You know what I'm talking about? You, Luella, and you, Luella, and you, Luella. And she's in that lower order animal brain. And so she's, well, you, Rick, and you, Rick, and you, Rick. And guess what never gets discussed? The issue. You know what maturity does? Maturity kind of goes like this. It's like I put my arm around my bride here. I go, hey, honey, can you and I talk about this issue? In other words, we want to talk about this. That takes maturity. It takes goodwill. It takes respect. It takes care and requires humility to do all that. And when we can talk about this issue, we can solve this issue. And when we solve this issue, the issue is solved and us is intact. As a matter of fact, not only is us intact, us is stronger, more connected, more energized because we solve the problem together so that we won. That's the real trick of healthy, mature people is that they learn to solve conflict in a way that protects their usness. So the only way you can do that then is just stick to the point, deal with the issue, don't attack, don't tear down, honor and respect your partner's perspective on things. Here's research by Gottman, John Gottman, biggest researcher. What percentage of problems in a marriage cannot be solved, actually are unsolvable? 68, two-thirds. Two-thirds of problems in a marriage just are unsolvable. But what Gottman found in what he called, what he watched, what he studied, what he know, I can't even talk. In his study, what he called masterful couples, what he found out was really healthy, mature couples don't allow issues that are unsolvable to destroy the relationship. They just negotiate around the unsolvable problems. Why? Because they'd rather agree to disagree and have a relationship than try and win an argument. That leads to the next point then, is always focus on the point, which also then means, keep your focus when arguing on the issue and a solution, not on each other. If you live this way, you don't let these things happen, you're going to be able to solve problems and deal with issues in a pretty healthy, mature way. What you're really going to be saying is, I love you so much and you love me so much. And we recognize we're going to have issues. That's part of life. We're going to have issues. However, I care so much about our love that I will protect our love from a problem. Why? Because problems are a part of life. Get used to it. But what matters is that we solve problems and deal with conflict in a way that protects the love. I refer to that as the usness in the marriage that protects the love. I didn't grow up in a home that way. You needed to love them. We never saw it modeled. I came to faith right out of high school, so I've been in the church as well. Didn't see it a lot in churches as well, in Christian marriages. Don't see it a lot in society, do you? You don't see it with bosses solving problems with their employees. You don't see it in leadership. What you see is the need for power, the need for control, the need to use others and exploit others to get one's way. I'm not saying you can't live that way. You can. But when it comes to a marriage relationship, if you want to live that way, feel free. But you understand you're destroying your relationship. You're destroying us. You see, there's only two decisions. Every decision you make goes one way or the other, whether you like it or not. Every decision you make gives to you or gives to us. If the bulk of your decisions are based on what's best for you, feel free. Us will die. It will die off. Jay Shetty in his book, Think Like a Monk. And I encourage you to get the book. There's a lot of great, profound truths that he learned as a young man living as a monk. And now he shares around the world. But he's absolutely right about something. He said what he learned as a monk is that the highest way of living life is not for oneself. The highest way of living life is to live for others, is to serve. And that those who understand that life is about serving others, those are the people who always find the greatest fulfillment and peace in life. Most people, though, are still learning to live for themselves, and they've never really learned to serve others. You see, the great gift you give life is to live beyond yourself. Live for your spouse, live for us. It has a higher meaning, it has a higher value. And every day you get to make that choice, just as much as I do.